So welcome to Meet NVivo, Auto Coding Techniques with NVivo for Mac. My name is Stuart Robertson. I'll be hosting today's presentation. I am an NVivo consultant and trainer. I've been working with NVivo now for about 15 years. I started with NVivo during my doctoral program. Used it for both my literature review and my coding, my research project, and have been using it in a variety of ways ever since. Today's focus will be on the auto coding techniques that are available for the Mac version of NVivo. So when you think about the Mac version, there are many types of file types that NVivo for Mac can work with. There is the ability to be able to use both basic and advanced queries, as well as being able to merge projects together. So if you are working as part of a team, that option is now available to you. And there are some basic charts and diagrams, visualizations that are available in the Mac version of NVivo. The file types that you have available for use in Mac include text and rich text files, .doc and .docx files, Excel files. You can also work with Twitter or Facebook data, audio and video files, as well as pictures. NVivo for Mac can also import bibliographic notes from EndNote. Today we're going to focus on the auto coding techniques for the Mac version. Many of them focus on the use of survey data or data sets, data coming in from an Excel spreadsheet. So we'll look at that type of data and coding by columns, coding by rows. And during that talking about coding by rows, we'll also take a look at attaching attributes from the survey data. The other auto coding technique or ability is to code by predefined categories with Twitter or Facebook. And today, the example that I'll use will be a Twitter example. When you think about NVivo in the research process will always start out the same, where you're gathering the material, gathering the data that you're going to work with. Next, you would import it into an NVivo project, which would allow you to explore and analyze that data, as well as to be able to visualize and share the data as well. So let me take a moment here and just swap out screens, and we'll step into NVivo for Mac. So right now, we're looking at NVivo for Mac. For those of you who may be a little bit new to NVivo, we do have on the left-hand side our navigation view, where we have folders to organize the materials with which we're working, a list view to see the materials that are available based on our selection in the navigation view. And then I can always open up any of the data, the material that I have available. In this case, looking at a survey that was brought in. This is from our sample data. And NVivo will bring in survey data as a data set. This is referred to as a data set. I do have a menu available at the very top of the screen. So for example, if I'm bringing in data, I can import different types of data. In this example, I imported a data set. So this started out its life as an Excel spreadsheet and has now been brought into NVivo as a data set. If you're more familiar with a ribbon style, we also have that option available as well. That option is here in the Mac version. A couple of background pieces about data sets and about bringing in survey data. In the data sets, there's two types of data. You can set a column up or basically tag a column as a classifying field or a codable field. When you're looking at this data set, if you see that there are some cells with a gray background, that means that they're in a column that has been labeled classifying. The data in a classifying column will be used for attributes. So they could be things such as age, gender. They can also be whether or not the person is involved, for example, in commercial or recreational fishing. Or in this case, one of them is a Likert scale regarding the pace of development in the Down East area in the Carolinas. When I see the white background, I'm looking at a codable field. This is a field where I can select data and code it just as I would any other text-based data. It's also one in which I could use any of the text-based queries. So for example, the word frequency or the text search. I mention this because when we start the auto-coding process, there will be options that will involve these two different types of data. So in this example, I have my survey data in, or as a data set. Again, if you have data structured in an Excel spreadsheet, depending on how you gathered that, you certainly can use these same techniques. So don't think about them solely as survey, but think about your own data and whether or not structuring it this way would be a reasonable choice. When I have my survey data opened, when I have the data set opened here, if I want to make use of the auto-coding techniques, I want to make sure that I've clicked somewhere inside of the survey data, inside of the data set. And I can come up to the Analyze menu, and I can come down to where it says Autocode. When I'm working with a data set, I have two options. I certainly can use both of them. I just have to use them one at a time. In the first option here, it's coded nodes for selected columns. What this does is it would create a node for each of the open-ended responses for each of the codable columns. And it would take all of the responses that are found in that column and place them together in that node. This is a way that I can focus my attention on a given set of responses. To follow through with this, if I wanted to create a node for each of my codable columns, I would choose that first option. I'll go ahead and click Next. NVivo shows me the codable columns that are available, and I can choose any or all of them if I wish. I simply need to move them from the available column to the selected column area. On the far right-hand side here, it's giving me a preview of what that structure will look like when I see it in my project. I'll go ahead here and I'll click Next. I have a couple of choices. I can put these under a new node, or I can group them under an existing node. In this case, where I'm just beginning the project, I will put them under a new node. Right now, the only location I have would be the nodes folder. And if I had created subfolders underneath that, NVivo would allow me to choose one of those subfolders if I wished. I'm going to refer to this as survey data sorted by question. And I'll go ahead and click Auto Code. What NVivo just did for me, if I come over into the Nodes section and I open up the Nodes folder, NVivo has created a node for me called Survey Data Sorted by Question. And underneath it, it has now created a node for each of my questions. And I can see the responses, the number of responses or references that have been placed in that node. If I'd like to see any of these nodes, see the data behind the node itself, I can simply double click on a node and NVivo will open up and show me everyone's responses from there. This is a way a lot of times people will make a quick breaking apart of the data, and then they'll go into a particular node to focus on what types of ideas or subtopics, patterns or trends might be found in that particular node. With NVivo for Mac, when you want to close items that you have opened in the detail view here, if you come over to the navigation view and move your way down towards the bottom, you'll see a list of any of the available and open items, and I can simply close them right from there. It may also be that each of my rows represents a unit of my analysis. In this case, it would be the respondent, the person filling out the survey. And I might want to take and be able to sort my data or separate it by that unit of analysis, by the person responsible for it. If that's something that I'd like to do and each row is a different participant, again, I make sure that I've clicked inside of my survey data, and I'll come up to the Analyze menu, back down to Auto Code, and in this case, I will come down to code at cases for each value in a column. Basically, what that does is it creates a case, which is simply a special kind of node. It'll create a case for each of the respondents, and it will place their particular responses into their case. This will also allow me to be able to attach attributes to those cases, and I'll show you that as I'm going through this process. I'll go ahead and click Next. NVivo wants to know which one of the classifying columns has the unique identifier for each of my participants. That's one of the things that you'll want to make sure is that each row has a unique identifier. In this data, it happens to be respondent. And once again, on the right-hand side, I get a example of what this structure is going to look like. I'll go ahead and click Next. Once again, I'll choose the data that I want to include in each person's case. And in this example, I do want to have all of their responses. I'll go ahead and click Next. Here I can decide again if it's putting it under a new case or an existing case. In this example, I'll go with a new case. I'm going to call this one survey data sorted by participant. In the second part of this box is where I can decide if I want to create attributes based on these closed-ended questions, the classifying data. And if I wish to, the first thing I'll need to do is to classify cases from classifying columns. And depending on whether or not I've created a classification yet, basically what a classification in NVivo is, it's a label, it's a tag under which would be created any of the attributes, gender, age, socioeconomic background, income, level of education, any of those pieces that I want to take a look at. I'm going to, if I have not created one for this particular grouping, then I can create that classification right here. And I'm going to call this, create a new classification, and I'll refer to it as survey data. That seems fine, but I could, of course, change that as necessary. In the next line down here, NVivo starts to show me the attributes that are going to be created. To see the full list, I can just click on the arrow here at the end of this row. And if there are any of these columns that I don't want to include as an attribute, so for example, I might not need to have respondent again because I've already named the cases based on the respondent. I can simply unclick those that I do not wish to use. Come back into the box. Because I do not have existing cases, I don't have to worry about updating classifications. But if for some reason I had created some cases beforehand that were going to be included in this grouping, I would need to check that box in order for the existing attributes, the existing cases to take on these attributes and attribute values. So with this, I'll go ahead and click Auto Code. NVivo goes through that process. And when it's done, if I come over to the node section here, into cases, I can see survey data sorted by participant. I now have a case for each of my participants and a number of references. Not everyone answered all of the questions, which is why you may see that some have fewer than 5 references. If I double click on a case, it will open up and show me the actual references themselves. The other piece of what I did was to connect the attributes. If I right-click on one of my cases here and I get info about that case, I can see the name, I can see a description. This is also where I can change names, update names, add descriptions if I wish. I can do that from this particular view. I can see the classification. And again, if I did not have a classification, I would not have any attributes. But once I classify it, then I get access to the attributes that are there. And in this case, what it did is it took those classifying columns and placed that information in here for me. If I wanted to look at all of my cases with their attributes available instead of having to do it one at a time, I can come up to where it says Explore and come down to where it says Case Classification Sheets, open up the survey data sheet, and I now have the ability to see all of those attributes for each of the cases. And if I click inside of this, I can fix any values that I might wish to or need to as I go along. Just so that you get a sense of why you might want to do something like this, this is a great way to prepare to be able to look across subgroups within your data. For example, if I wanted to break apart my data and start to explore it based on gender and the responses based on gender, I can use my query options and use a matrix query. Here I might design or define rows based on a particular attribute, let's say gender. So I'll go ahead and click the plus sign here and select the attribute values that I'd like to use. And in this case, I'll come down to gender. And I can select any or all of the values that I want to include. And in the columns, I could put any of the nodes that I've created. So I'll select items here. And from my node section, I could choose any or all of the nodes that have been created. And I'll run this query. And once it's finished, I can see survey data. It's been broken down female and male. And if I'd like to see the comments made by a particular gender here, so let's say commercial fishing down east is, I can double click on the cell of the matrix, and NVivo will open up and show me all of the data that has been coded to that particular node. And because of the structure of the matrix, I'm looking at it in terms of just my female participants. I might decide that I'd like to save this as a node so I can quickly come back to it. In a case like that, with this cell open, I can use my Command A to select the entire series of responses here. And then I could right-click and code that selection. I'll code it at a new node. And I'll call this commercial fishing comments by female participants. I'll click done, and if I look at my nodes here, I can see that I've now created a node that contains all of this information. Coming back to my unsaved query here, again, I can see the breakdown and can do the same thing. I can open up additional cells to be able to see the data behind it. So that way, auto coding in this case has helped me get a bit of a jump start in either breaking down my data by particular topics based on the questions, or to take it a step further and be able to break it down by subgroups if I wish. Let me go ahead here and I'll clean up my screen. The other type of auto coding that I wanted to share with you today comes from Facebook or Twitter, comes from the social media realm. If I come back to my internals here, I downloaded prior to getting on today's session, went out to Twitter and I captured a series of tweets from one of the counties that is represented in the sample data. And as you see, it's set up as a data set, so very similar to what we were looking at with the survey data. And I can see the different, not only do I have the tweets themselves, but I also have any of the metadata that's publicly available as well. Once I have this data into NVivo, just to let you know, what I did is while I was out on the page itself, I think I still have it up here. Oh, I apologize, I do not. I thought it was still, let me come back here. I do have InCapture that comes with NVivo, and InCapture will allow me to capture a web page as a PDF, an article as a PDF, if I am out on specific Twitter pages. So let's say, for example, I was out at Carteret County. And I captured the tweets as a data set. Once they're captured, that's when I can come back into my project, and to bring them in under data, I can import from InCapture. And it shows me here as I've brought them in prior to this, and I still have one sitting out there that I've not included in this particular project. Once the data is in, if I'd like to do some auto coding by existing columns, existing classifying columns, I can come up to where it says Analyze, and again come over to Auto Code. And you'll notice, because I am inside of a social media piece, I can now code it nodes for each value in a predefined Twitter column. And if I go ahead and I click Next, I can start to say, do I want to organize the data by username, in which NVivo will create cases, hashtags, mention, tweet type, location. So I'll look at these two. I'll leave it at username and hashtag right now. I'll go ahead and click Next. I will put these under a new node. So right now I'm looking at Twitter sorted by hashtag. And my cases, I'll just simply call this Twitter users. Once it's finished, if I come over to my nodes, I can now take a look. And here's Twitter sorted by hashtag. And I can see all of the different hashtags. And be able to open up and see the tweets that were placed based on that particular hashtag. If I come down to my cases section, I've created a case built around each of my usernames. And have gathered together any of the tweets or retweets that were associated with that particular username. Again, it's a very efficient way to begin to take that data from Twitter in this case and be able to break it apart and use some of those auto-coding techniques to get a jump start on arranging and rearranging your data. All right, let me pause here, and I'm going to step back into the PowerPoint presentation. I hit upon a couple of things. For those of you who have not had a chance to use NVivo, but you're thinking that it might be something useful, that you'd like to try it with your own data, one of the first things I do like to point out is that there is a free 14-day trial. You can go out to the QSR website, www.qsrinternational.com, and you can download a full working version, 14-day free trial, to dabble with it with your own data if you'd wished. There are discounted student licenses. There are full licenses available. There are enterprise license agreements if you're in a situation where there may be multiple users. Again, reaching out to your QSR representatives. For those of you who are in North or South America, then you would reach out to Americas at qsrinternational.com. And I'll share that with you in just a moment on one of the slides. QSR also wants to be there to help you be successful. So there are some resources available. For example, QSR has its own YouTube channel with recordings of how to do use certain features freely available. There's a user community. Actually, there's multiple communities, anywhere from LinkedIn community, a Twitter group, a Facebook group, to basically a forum right on the QSR website itself, where users from around the world share techniques, questions, and answers. There are online help documents. You can reach them right from within NVivo, so that you can go right out to the appropriate help documents. There are different versions of NVivo available, so you want to make sure you're in the help section that matches the version that you're using. And there are also free webinars to introduce you to some ways that you could think about using the software through the Meet NVivo series that we have. Right. As I said earlier, if you do have questions, there's Americas at qsrinternational.com. Would take care of anyone in the Americas, North or South America. And then you can take a look at the QSR website. If you're located in another part of the world, we also have offices in the UK, handling both Europe and Africa, as well as in Australia, handling the Pacific region. Okay. For those of you who need to sign out at this time, I do want to thank you for being with me. For those of you who have a few more moments, I'll be back momentarily, and I will address any of the questions that have come up in the question panel.